Well, good morning. What's up? What's good? What's going on? How you doing? How you been? I'm doing all right. Just sitting here watching the squirrels. Let's zoom in on this camera. I need to replace this camera. This is a low resolution camera. I have four cameras sitting in a closet that I need to use to replace my old cameras, but I haven't gotten around to it. Maybe after I make this video, I'll finally get off my ass and go out there. It's really easy to replace the camera physically. It's like held in by like four screws. So I just unscrew the four screws, put the other one back in, screw it in, connect the network cable, good to go. The pain in the ass is all of the I have to go in and set the IP address on the camera and do all kinds of stuff. Add it to my my software that I use to record with and everything. That's the pain in the butt that makes me not want to bother with it. But I need to get out there and get her done. But if you, I don't know if you can see it, but down in the very bottom of the camera, let me move the mouse so it gets rid of that black bar. That is a pile of peanuts. So whenever I do grocery deliveries, I'll generally buy a thing of nuts and dump it out there on the porch for the squirrels. The birds, there's a group of about five crows, and crows are so, man, those are intelligent animals. Um, oh, there's a squirrel over there on the fence. Right there's one. Is there another one right there? Yeah, there's two of them right there. And I think there's a third squirrel around here somewhere. What it is there's two squirrels that run around and chase each other like that, and like they're best friends. And then there's like this loner squirrel, the squirrel that you saw there a minute ago that was over here eating the peanuts, and then he ran off to the right. Um, I'm pretty sure that was the loner squirrel, and those are the two squirrels that run around and play with each other all the time. Um, oh, yeah, right there he is over in the bottom right. That's the loner guy. He doesn't like anybody. Like he'll flex on people. Well, not people, but animals. He'll flex on animals that come over there and try and mess with his nuts. There's a bird right there going over, sneaking in on the peanuts right now, and he's circling them. he's he reminds me of me. He's a loner, and he doesn't like anybody else messing with his nuts. So anyway, that's what I'm doing for fun today, is sitting here watching the squirrels. Um, I'm just sitting at the house. It is Friday, 11:42 a.m. I've had a busy morning already. Me sitting at the house is not like just a lot of leisure time. I do a bunch of stuff while I'm at home. I had a grocery delivery this morning, and I had to deal with a whole bunch of internet stuff with the truck. And I also, oh, here comes one of the really friendly, nice squirrels. Let's see if the loner guy flexes on him, or if he lets him go over there and, oh, I don't think they're buddies. The loner guy just darted off and scared the other one. So we'll see if the other one goes in there and grabs some nuts. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of drama with the internet that I use for the truck. That's one of the reasons I'm here at home, is to get that resolved. And I've just been so frustrated with it. They've sent me like two or three SIM cards, and they all just keep getting turned off, deactivated. And I sent them an angry email, and I said, I'm tired of this. Refund me my $99 that I spent for this month, because I have you prepay for it, and I haven't gotten any service this month. My internet's been out the entire month. And so I told them to refund my money and cancel the service. I'm done with this. I'm tired of it. Like, when I initially signed up for them, my plan was like 400 or 500 gigabytes per month of priority data. And now they changed the service to where it's only like 50 gigabytes a month of priority data, and then after that it gets deprioritized. It gets throttled. I can get that kind of shit just about anywhere. I wanted, a lot of data. It's almost like home internet was what I initially got. Well, they changed the plan to where it wasn't as nice as when I first got it, and they started charging new customers $70 a month instead of $100 a month, but they continued charging me $100 a month for like the past 6 months. So I've been overpaying by $30 a month for like 6 months. And then there's been almost entire months that I have not had service, and I'm just sick and tired of it. So what I did was I went and my primary phone, I just switched from Google Fi to T-Mobile. I got T-Mobile service while I still had Google Fi, and I just tested it out on the phone. I tested out what kind of data speeds I would get and stuff, and then I made the decision to go ahead and switch from Google Fi to T-Mobile. They offer a better service. So I was happy with it. I went ahead and switched. And when I started having the internet issues, I took my SIM card out of my phone and put it into my cellular router that I use in the truck for internet to see if it would work and what kind of speeds I would get with it. Well, I have 2 cellular routers. My original cellular router that I was using, I tested it out and I got terrible speeds. T-Mobile detected that it was a cellular router, and they throttled me down to like really low speeds, like incredibly low speeds, like 2G, like edge network speeds, not even 3G, like 2G edge network crap. It was just unusable. You can't watch Netflix on it. I could barely load web pages. Well, I ordered a new cellular router. And this one, T-Mobile doesn't detect that it's a cellular router. T-Mobile just doesn't know what in the hell it is. It's such an obscure device that T-Mobile doesn't have it in its database, so it doesn't throttle it. So I tested it out, and I was getting like 50 megabit full duplex. Full duplex is in both directions. So I was getting 50 megabit download and 50 megabit upload. There's a big difference between a megabit and a megabyte. So 50 megabit is about 6 megabytes. So if you're downloading a movie or something, or a video game, or downloading whatever online, and it's downloading at like 500 kilobytes, and then it jumps up to 1.2 megabytes, this was hitting 6 megabytes, which is as fast or faster than some people's home internet. Now, the problem with cellular internet is that the speed will go all over the place. The speed fluctuates wildly based on signal strength, any kind of interference, and also congestion on the network. Cellular networks are prone to congestion. So, like whenever I tested it at 8 o'clock this morning, 7 a.m. or so, early this morning, I was hitting 50, 60 megabits per second. It was sustaining 50 with peaks of up to 60 megabits. Like it was bouncing up to 60, then it would come back down to 50, then 60, then 50. Now that it's around noon, when I run a test, I'm getting 30 to 40. So a substantial difference, but it's still like very, very usable. What you need to stream like Netflix is about 1.5 megabits per second download. So it's more than enough bandwidth for me to watch TV and play video games at the same time, because video games don't use much bandwidth at all. Nowhere near 1.5 megabits or anything like that. Video games use very little. Video games are more reliant on latency, like the delay the amount of time it takes for data to get to one place to another. They're not so much dependent on the amount of data getting from one place to another. It's more latency based than capacity based. Let's put it that way. Whereas like streaming videos is more about not so much about latency, but it's more about like capacity, like how much bandwidth do you have, how wide is it. Um, but anyway, so since I tested it and it worked really well with my SIM card, I went down to T-Mobile and added a second line. I have the highest end T-Mobile plan you can get on this phone. It's the Magenta Max. It's $90 a month. But if you do auto pay, it's $5 a month off, so it's $85 a month. If you add a second line, each line you add is cheaper. So my first line is $85 a month. My second line for the same exact Magenta Max plan is $55 a month. So what I was paying for internet to the Infinite LTE, One World Wireless, or One Wireless World, what's some of their other company names? Impact Wireless. They operate under a lot of company names. What I was paying them was $100 a month. So now with T-Mobile, I'm paying $55 a month. And it is like 40 or 50 gigabytes of... It's basically identical to the plan that Impact Wireless is offering right now. It's like $50 a month of high priority data. And then after that, based on congestion, you will be deprioritized. So if the node that you're on is really busy, then you might get lower speeds than other people. They might knock you down a notch because you are a data hog. I don't really use that much data in the truck, but I want the ability to do it. Like, I avoid downloading games and stuff like that when I'm out in the truck. I've done it before, but I try to avoid doing it because it just rips through my data. I try to update my computer and everything when I'm at home. And then just watch TV and play games out on the road and avoid big downloads. And I keep all of the video quality and stuff like that when I'm streaming Netflix and stuff. I try to keep the quality down at the lowest setting so that it doesn't chew through all my data. But anyway, internet issue should be resolved now. I just plugged in the new SIM card. I just tested it, and I'm getting good speeds, and everything's good to go. What else is happening? I had the truck was finally repaired yesterday. So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about like where I was at, how I got to where I'm at now. So I hauled my very first load for Landstar from where was it from? It was from Laredo, Texas to Beresford, South Dakota, the southeast corner of South Dakota. After I made the delivery, I just felt like crap. I felt exhausted, fatigued, drained. I don't know how to describe it. I just didn't feel like doing anything. All I felt like doing was laying in bed all day. I didn't even feel like sitting in my booth in the bottom bunk. I have my truck in the bottom bunk has the table with booth seats on either side, and I have my laptop sitting up there, and that's where I play the games and stuff. I didn't even feel like sitting there and playing video games. I would be sitting there at the computer, and I would just get tired, and I'd be like, you know what? I just want to lay down and watch TV. And so I would crawl up into the top bunk and watch TV, and then I'd take a nap. I was sleeping a lot. I was napping a lot. I just felt tired, worn out. I don't know how to describe it. And I don't know why I felt that way. I felt like I was sleeping a lot. Some other things that were happening is I was getting a lot of muscle aches and joint pains. Like my hips started hurting really bad. So I thought that it was maybe mental fatigue from all of the paperwork and everything that I did transitioning from USA Truck to Landstar, all the DOT inspections, drug tests, title transfers, the maintenance and repairs I had to get done on the truck. Learning, the new system, getting, uninstalling and reinstalling equipment in the truck like ELDs and things like that, restickering the truck, license plates, taking the old, stuff off, putting the new stuff on. It wasn't just me hanging out at the house, just taking a month off. It was a lot of work. I drove down to orientation in Fort Worth, Texas for like 3 or 4 days. Um, it was Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So yeah, 3 days. Um, I mean, it was a lot of work, a lot of phone calls, a tremendous amount of paperwork at the qualification center, getting qualified for Landstar. Excuse me. Just tons. So I thought that I was maybe mentally exhausted and I just needed to take time off. So I took a week off after I delivered that load, and I still felt like crap. And my internet went out. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go home. I don't know when I'm going to feel better. I'm going to go take time off at home instead of here. It's only 600 miles to the house. I could be home in 10 hours. So I'm just going to drive home. So I did headed home, and I got here. Once I got here into town, I got a DOT inspection done on the trailer because it was overdue for an inspection. Overdue according to Landstar's inspection schedule, not overdue according to legality like, FMCSA. It was well within the year. The inspection was like 6 months old. Landstar doesn't allow inspections to be over 120 days or 4 months old. So it had to be updated for Landstar, not for legal reasons. But I got that updated. I put my truck in the shop, and then I went home. I put my truck in the shop. Well, when I say I put my truck in the shop, it was the APU. I've had very few problems with the truck. Most of the time that I'm putting the truck in the shop, it's for the APU. So I have an ongoing issue with an oil leak, and I have a brand new issue with a fuel leak. So I put it into the shop to get those leaks fixed. And also, I heard an air leak with the truck, and I asked them to take a look at that. They tried to find the air leak. They couldn't find it. They did eventually hear the air leak. They could hear it, but they were never able to locate it. And they said that it was an incredibly minor air leak. They said that the truck lost 10 pounds of pressure over the course of 2 hours. So they didn't really feel like it was that big of a deal, and they weren't able to find it. So they gave up. The oil leak, they had to order parts for. The fuel leak, they also had to order parts for. They had to replace the thing that goes into the fuel tank for the APU. There's some kind of thing that screws into the top of the fuel tank. I don't know what it looks like inside the fuel tank. I'm guessing it has some kind of rod that goes down to suck fuel out of the bottom of the tank. But they had to replace that whole thing. That thing was like $160, $150, $160. And then there was a dipstick that they had to replace that was like $70. And then shipping and handling and other things, the total part cost came up to about $290. And then they charged me 2 hours at $100 an hour. So $200 in labor plus $15 in shop parts, brake cleaner, shit like that. Taxes, everything, the total bill came to like $530. But hopefully I don't have any more leaks that I have to worry about, because it's really embarrassing to like go to a shipper or receiver, turn on my APU, and be leaking oil on their property. Now, it wasn't a big leak. It would just drip a little bit. It was a very tiny leak. Like, I only had to put oil in once every couple of weeks. On heavy usage of the APU, like using the APU a lot, I only had to add oil about once every couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe sometimes once a month. It did not leak very much, but it's still embarrassing to be leaving, oil leaking at shippers and receivers, or even at the truck stop or anywhere. It's embarrassing to have your shit be leaking. And like it's not for lack of trying. I've had it in the shop 6 or 7 times to fix the oil leaks, and these people just don't fix it. So I've paid thousands of dollars to try to get that oil leak fixed. So hopefully it's finally fixed this time. But anyway, yeah, about $530 to fix the oil leak and a fuel leak, and we should be good to go. As soon as they told me they got the parts in and they were going to get them installed, I started looking for a load. They called and said that the parts arrived Wednesday. They said that they would get my truck back in on Thursday to work on it. So I started looking for a load that was going to be leaving on Monday or Tuesday, maybe even as early as Sunday. And I found a load. It was, we're going to go ahead and switch off the squirrels here, and I'll show you the load. Let me pause this while I get it pulled up. All right, so I was searching for loads around Oklahoma City, and there were a whole bunch of loads. Some of the best loads in the Oklahoma City area are 200 miles away from Oklahoma City in Joplin, Missouri. And there's tons of loads coming out of Joplin that pay somewhere in the ballpark of $5 a mile. Some of them pay $7, $8 a mile. Some of them pay $3 or $4 a mile. But there's a ton of them in the $5 a mile range. Now, the reason they pay a pretty high rate per mile is because there's a lot of extra time on the loads. So there will be a load going where the hell ever. And like these loads have around 10 days on them. Like the way the loads are set up, you're supposed to bring your trailer in and drop the trailer off at the shipper and then come back and pick up the trailer sometime between 1 and 3 days. It's different for the most of the loads are 24 hours. They get 24 hours to load the trailer. Some of the loads are upwards of 3 days. They say that you have to drop the trailer off and then come back 3 days later to pick it up loaded. So you drop it off, go hang out at the truck stop until they call you, and then you come back over there and pick up the loaded trailer, and it could take 24 to 72 hours. Then, after you have the trailer, the loads have several extra days on the delivery. So it'll be like 6 days to do 1,200 miles. So the total amount of time on the load is like 10 days. So it'll be like 1 to 3 days to load you, and then like 6, 7, 8 days after you get loaded before you can deliver. So yeah, you're making $7,000, $8,000 or something to do a 1,200 mile run, but it's taking up a week and a half of your time, sometimes 2 weeks of your time. So when you look at it on a daily rate or on a weekly rate, they don't pay very well. But if you're in the mood to take a lot of time off, just a second, I hear people talking. I don't know where they're at. But anyway, if you're looking to take a lot of time off, then they're pretty decent loads, because for what little work you're going to do, you're getting paid really well for it. But if you're out there just trying to crank out a whole bunch of money in a short amount of time, then they're really bad loads, because on a weekly rate, you're making like, I don't know, the 7,000 or 8,000, that's the total that it pays. You only get 65% of that. So let's do 7,000 times 0.65, $4,550. You're making $4,500 over the course of like a week and a half. So it's like $3,000 average per week. That's not very good as an owner-operator. Total gross to the truck. Now, after expenses, $3,000 a week is pretty good. But gross to the business, to the truck, no, $3,000 a week is not very good. So the load I ended up finding is this one right here. It's from Oklahoma City to Jerome, Idaho. I had a lot, like the point I was making is I had a lot of good loads to choose from, and then this load popped up. Oklahoma City, so no deadhead. I pick it up right here in town. The only negative thing about it is this is in the old part of downtown. So the pickup is going to be a pain in the ass. It's going to be backing in off the street into a dock that's not designed for these trucks. And you have to approach it, the place. You have to like know where you're going and approach it from the right direction. Otherwise, you're going to be forced to do a blind side back because there's nowhere to turn around to do a sight side back. So if you don't approach it from the correct direction, you're just going to be stuck doing a blind side. And a blind side may not be terrible. There might be, it looked like there was enough room, as long as there aren't any other trailers there, there's enough room to, do a half-assed blind side and then switch it back over to a sight side back to get it into the exact spot. And it's not on a busy street, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal doing a street back, but it's like not a very good place to be picking a load up from. The broker, so this is a direct shipper freight, which means that the broker, the Landstar broker, is working directly with the shipper. They're not going through another broker. This isn't some spot market load that they've relisted. So the broker has a direct relationship with the shipper or receiver, whoever's paying for the load. In this case, it happens to be the receiver that's paying for the load. But the broker told me that they just got this business. They just published 3 loads on Landstar's load board. 2 of them got covered before I called in. I got the 3rd load. So I got the 3rd load this broker's ever moved for this customer. And she told me that she has a whole bunch of loads. Like the majority of her business is moving loads out of Katy, Texas, which is Houston. And she told me, if I ever need a load over in Katy, let her know, because she has tons of loads coming out of Katy, and she said that the drivers love her loads, especially the ones going to Pennsylvania. They pay really well. And she said that she doesn't list any loads for any less than $3.50 a mile. She doesn't broker loads for less than $3.50 a mile. Which is good, because when I do my searches, I only search for loads over $3.50 a mile. So the broker and I are on the same page on what a decent rate per mile is. Now, there are areas where you can't get over $3.50 a mile, and you have to settle for lower rates. Like where I'm going. This load is going to Jerome, Idaho, which is Twin Falls, Idaho. There's not a lot of loads listed up in that area. So the people with the loads have the power in negotiation. Down here around Oklahoma City, there's a lot of freight in this area. So drivers, the leverage is in the favor of the drivers. So we get to push rates up down here. But up there in Twin Falls, Idaho, not so much. There's not a lot of freight up there, so the brokers can, and the shippers and receivers, they can kind of do whatever they want on prices. But if they want to move loads, there's not a lot of drivers up there, so it's not like a really terrible market like Florida, where they can just put loads up at whatever price they want. It's kind of like a mediocre to below average market, where you still can get rates that you can make a living on. They're just not very good rates. So Oklahoma City to Jerome, Idaho, or Twin Falls, Idaho, it pays roughly $5,100 total, which is about $3.95 a mile. And she already had it broken out with $4,650 paid to line haul and $453.90 paid to fuel surcharge. So whenever I break that down to figure out what I'm going to make on the load, I get 65% of the line haul. So 65, so 4650 times 0.65, that comes out to $3,000. $3,022.50. So I make $3,000 on the line haul plus all of the fuel surcharge. So we add $453.90. So the total amount of money I'm making on the load is roughly $3,500. It's $3,476.40. This is a 2-day load. It's almost exactly 48 hours from pickup to delivery. So that comes out to about $1,700 a day on this load. That is really good. What I try to make on a load is $800 a day or more. My goal is $1,000 a day. $1,000 a day is what I try to do. If I can make more than $1,000 a day, that's great. Less than $1,000 a day is okay as long as it's not too much less than $1,000 a day. Like $800 a day is still reasonable, but as soon as I cross that $800 a day threshold, I have to start questioning whether it's not better to just deadhead to a better market. And if it gets close to $500 a day, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that crap. Unless it's something like those Joplin loads I was just talking about where I'm not actually working. I'm just taking like 5 or 6 days off vacation at the truck stop. Living the dream out there at the truck stop. Actually, I don't mind hanging out at the truck stop. I know some people hate it, but I don't mind taking time off at the truck stop. I actually kind of like hanging out on the road. But yeah, there's a whole lot of factors involved. Once we start getting down to those there's a lot of things I take into consideration. There's rate per mile goals that I try to hit. Like I try to run at $2 a mile of what I actually make. What am I making on this load? I'm making $2.69 a mile on this load. That's how much I'm making per mile on the loaded miles. So I try to run at $2 a mile or more, and $1,000 a day or more. But if I get a little less than $2 a mile or a little less than $1,000 a day, that's not a big deal. And what else are some of my goals? Well, the minimum amount that I'm willing to do a load for is also going to come into the daily. Like whenever I'm searching for a load, my minimum that a load pays is $2,500. I don't really want to see loads that pay less than $2,500. Why is that? Well, most loads take 2 days. There are very few same-day loads. So, if a load is going to take a minimum of 2 days, and I'm making $2,500 on it, what do I make after the 65% cut? On $2,500, 65% of that is about $1,600. So I'm making about $800 a day on a 2-day load. There are not many loads that you're going to complete within a 24-hour period. They exist. I'm not saying that they don't exist. They're out there. But it's not really worth my time to deal with that crap. Now, if they want to pay, $2,500 for a load that's going to, deliver same day, that's great. That extra, $600 that I'm making above my $1,000 per day helps to make up for all the extra crap that I have to deal with the extra pickup, the extra delivery. I don't get paid to get loaded or unloaded. I only get paid to move the load from point A to point B. So if I take a whole bunch of short loads, that's a whole lot of my time that I have to spend getting loaded and unloaded, and I'm still having to drive the same distance. So I would much prefer to drive, 2 or 3 days and make the same amount of money or more than, constantly do 1-day loads. Getting loaded and unloaded every damn day. That's a pain in the ass. So there's a lot of reasons why I have parameters set up the way I do. Also, on weight, I set my maximum weight at 38,000 pounds. I adjust all of these parameters based on market conditions. So if I'm in a bad market, I'm going to have to increase my weight. I'm going to have to reduce my rate per mile. I'm going to have to play with the numbers so that I, get a decent selection of loads to choose from. But if I'm in a good market, I'm not pulling loads over 38,000 pounds because they don't pay a premium to haul that crap. I also don't look for hazmat loads. Right now, I'm not bothering with hazmat loads. That may change in the future. For now, I'm just trying to learn the Landstar system. I've only hauled one load with Landstar, and I'm just trying to get in the groove of things. At some point, I may haul hazmat loads, but in all honesty, I may never haul a hazmat load with Landstar because they don't pay enough of a premium to get me to do it. It just, the loads don't pay that well on the hazmat. Yeah, they generally pay extra, but not a lot extra. It's not worth my time on most of them. There are plenty of loads that are light loads, that are not hazmat, that are paying a good wage. So right now I'm not having to dip into heavy loads or hazmat. But this load picks up Monday morning and it delivers Wednesday morning. I pick it up Monday morning at like 8 a.m. and deliver it Wednesday morning at like 8 a.m. And it's going about 1,300 miles. Let me flip you over here to the fuel discount. So where I plan on topping off fuel, like right now, I topped off fuel in Oklahoma City once I got here. So my tanks are full right now. What I plan on doing is, this is, let me show you the price with just the Landstar discount, not taxes as well. You know what? Let me double check something. Let me look at my other fuel card. Yeah, Landstar's fuel card is way better than my XPO Logistics fuel card, which was the primary fuel card I used when I was at USA Truck, and that thing was way better than the USA Truck fuel card. So Landstar's fuel discounts are pretty amazing. So to give you an example, this TA in Colby and the TA in Oakley, the Landstar price, or my XPO Logistics price, was like $285 and $287 with the discounts. Was like $285 and $287, so like 15 to 17 cents a gallon cheaper with Landstar's discount here in Oakley, Kansas. And this is not very much more expensive than what I'm getting for fuel in Oklahoma City. Fuel in Oklahoma City is like $2.62 a gallon with Landstar's discount price. So I'm going to top off in Oakley because fuel gets over, like, even with discounts, once I get into Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, and Idaho, pretty much everywhere, even with discounts, are over $3 a gallon. It jumps up significantly as soon as I cross out of Kansas into Colorado and onward into the trip. So I'm going to top off there in Oakley, Kansas, and then that'll get me all the way to Twin Falls, and I should still have a quarter of a tank or more in Twin Falls, and then I'll have to make a decision out of Twin Falls what to do on fuel, because if I'm leaving Twin Falls and going to Portland, then I'm just going to get enough fuel to get me to Portland, because fuel is cheap in Portland. Let's check and see. Portland. God, this thing is such a pain to type in, because this little auto search thing, every time it you type in a letter, it like freezes the box while it does a search. So you're sitting there typing and it's not taking any input because it's doing a search. It's just a major pain in the ass to type in this thing. All right, Portland, Oregon. Where's Troutdale? Right here. The TA Petro in Troutdale, $2.55 a gallon. Holy crap, that's not that good. It is a 90 cent per gallon discount. 90 cent per gallon discount at the TA in Troutdale. Jubitz, which is a really popular truck stop in Portland. Last time I was in Portland, I stayed a day or two there. $2.57 a gallon at Jubitz with the Landstar discount. Now, I think the reason most of the people go to Jubitz is that they either have bad discount programs or they're just paying pump price. That's sad if somebody's paying pump price. But Jubitz has the lowest pump price listed on here. They are $2.95 a gallon pump price. Actually, right here. CFN Carson Oil Company has a pump price of $2.84 a gallon. They don't offer any discounts. So they're a little bit cheaper than Jubitz. But 90 cents a gallon. That's not that amazing. Troutdale is usually like way cheaper than everywhere else. Let's look at Oklahoma City. This is so annoying to type on, on this page. It is so annoying. All right, Oklahoma City, Morgan Road. This is the TA I usually top off at. It's $2.64 a gallon now. It was $2.62 a couple of days ago, I think, but now it's $2.64. Not a huge difference from Troutdale, Oregon. Now, it looks like Love's is the cheapest place to get fuel around here. 2 cents a gallon cheaper because Landstar gets at the Love's and the Pilot Flying J's. It looks like Landstar gets a flat 26 cents a gallon off of the 25 to 26 cents a gallon. It looks like Love's is 26 a gallon discount off the cash price, and Pilot Flying J is 25 cents a gallon flat discount off the cash price. And then TA and Petro is a variable discount. And it's usually a lot more than 25, 26 cents a gallon off. But yeah, that's my fuel route is top off in Oakley, Kansas, which is going to be about 450 miles from Oklahoma City. And where I plan on stopping for the day at the end of that drive shift is just north of Denver, in the Fort Collins area. A little bit south of, in between Denver and Fort Collins, there's a mom and pop truck stop. And that is where I'm hoping to stop for the night at the end of my drive shift. And if I can make it there, then I can do the trip in 2 drive shifts. But who knows what I'm going to actually end up doing. I might start doing sleeper splits. It depends on what time I make it into Denver, because Denver traffic can be crazy. If I make it, like if I leave here, Oklahoma City, by about 8 a.m., that means that I'm going to be rolling into Denver after about 10 hours. So that'd be about 6 p.m. I'm going to be catching the ass end of rush hour traffic in Denver. And that's going to suck. I might, stop outside of town, take a 2-hour nap, and then drive through town, and then take, an 8-hour break, and then go ahead and drive the rest of the way in. Well, as many hours as I can. I'll be working on a sleeper split at that point. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see what ends up happening with it. But yeah, that's the plan. What's going on right now? It's Friday. This load picks up Monday morning. So I've done a Walmart grocery delivery. Let me pause this and we'll show you what I ordered. Alright, I just got to be careful about scrolling all the way up the top because it's got a whole bunch of personal information up at the top. So, what all did I order? Okay, so I ordered some roasted peanuts for the squirrels. And they didn't have those, so they substituted them with salty nuts. So that's what I dumped out onto the back porch right here. That's what that pile of nuts is salty peanuts. Some of the Hungry Man dinners I ordered, the Salisbury steak, were out of stock, so they substituted them with boneless fried chicken. I ordered a cantaloupe, some Applejack cereal, popcorn, some orange Fanta soda. That's for the house. I'm not taking 2 liters on the truck with me. That's just too much of a pain in the ass to deal with on the truck. I deal with canned soda on the truck. Some club crackers, a tub of ice cream, cookies and cream ice cream. I was in the mood for some cookies and cream ice cream, so I ordered some fucking ice cream. Stop hating. I'm fat for a reason. I have a problem. Some Pringles barbecue potato chips, 3 packages of Hershey's milk chocolate almond bars. I can't fucking stand chocolate, but you throw some almonds in it, and I love it. One of the things I'm taking on the truck with me this time for food is hot dogs. I ordered some hot dogs and some hot dog buns. The hot dogs keep for a long time, like 2 months, before they hit their best buy date. The buns, however, don't keep for very long. So we're going to give it a try and, see what it's like out on the road. Ordered a bottle of alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. And then I ordered a whole bunch of here's some more Hungry Man dinners. This is bone-in chicken meal. Here's like Thanksgiving turkey meal. Some Velveeta slices for the hot dogs. Hamburger helper. I'm still planning to make a batch of hamburger helper. I'm going to make 3 packages of it with 3 pounds of ground beef. And take that with me out on the road. And I buy these basically disposable containers for the hamburger helper. What I was initially using was non-disposable, like reusable containers, but I don't really have a way to clean them out that well on the truck once I finish, eating it. And it just starts getting nasty over time. And if I'm out on the road for 3 or 4 weeks, it can get really rank. Last time I was out on the road, well, not the last time, but the last time I was using reusable containers, one of them started swelling up from all the bacteria and stuff inside of it, and until it popped the lid off, and oh my god, it stank up the truck so bad. I ended up throwing my Tupperware in the trash because I was just like, I don't have a way to deal with this. I sprayed it with I have a bottle that I have isopropyl alcohol in that I spray stuff with to clean it. And I sprayed the inside of it down with alcohol, and it still couldn't get, I Febrezed the shit out of it. It couldn't. No, that smell was just too much. But hamburger helper, and then some disposable containers to put it in. 3 gallons of milk to take with me. And 3 bags of Funyuns. My taste in chips, of what kind of chips I like, changes all the time. And right now, I love me some Funyuns. It was Sun Chips a couple months ago, so I have a whole bunch of bags of Sun Chips, but I'm not in the mood to eat them. So right now, the two kinds of chips that I like to snack on are Funyuns and then uh, barbecue Pringles. I also have a ton of snack food in the truck that I just haven't been in the mood to eat. Like I have several packages of Oreo cookies, and I have a whole bunch of Little Debbie snacks like oatmeal pies and stuff like that. And I just am burnt out on that stuff, so I haven't been eating very much of that stuff. But I didn't order any of that stuff because I still have tons of it in the truck. If I decide I want to eat that crap, then I can. But that's my grocery delivery right there. The cantaloupes are not going to keep for very long, so what I plan on doing is I'll probably eat that while I'm here at the house. Maybe I might chop it up and put it in a Ziploc baggie and snack on it for the first couple of days I'm out on the road. But it's not going to keep for very long. But anyway, that's my Walmart grocery delivery, and that's the plan right now. I'm going to be heading out Monday morning. So that means that Sunday, I'm going to be doing preparation. What I'll probably do is Saturday evening, I will cook the hamburger helper and kind of like get everything ready to put in the truck. And then Sunday, I'll take it over to the truck and I'll get the truck prep. There's not a whole lot of truck prep stuff that I need to do. I just need to get all my laundry, my clean clothes. Let's put this back over onto the main camera. So I need to put my clean clothes in the truck, and I need to put all my bedding material back in the truck because I take all of my bedding material out of the truck and wash it every time I come home. So I need to put all that crap in the truck, all my clean clothes in the truck, all my groceries in the truck. I need to turn the inverter back on in the truck. I need to turn all of my refrigerators on in the truck. I have 3 refrigerators. Well, 2 refrigerators and a thermoelectric cooler, technically. Because that thermoelectric cooler, the Igloo or Coleman, whatever it is, that you get at Love's, that gray and white one that's like $120, that thing's not technically a refrigerator. But my other 2 are refrigerators. They have compressors, and you set a temperature on them. The Coleman cooler just kind of like gets whatever damn temperature it wants. But I use that for mainly sodas and stuff like that. But I have 3 coolers or refrigerators. I have to get all those turned back on and let them cool off, and then put all the food in there. I need to take the truck from the shop and take it around to the trailer and, lube the 5th wheel because it's been sitting out in the elements. So I need to re-lube the 5th wheel. A couple of really minor things like that I need to do for prep work on Sunday. Mainly, it's just going to be shuttling shit back and forth between the house and the truck. That's the main thing I'm going to be doing on Sunday. And then I'm going to come back to the house, and everything will be good to go in the truck. All I'll have to do is basically go to sleep at the house, wake up early, like 4 a.m., 3 to 4 a.m. Monday morning, take a shower, hop in the car, and then drive over to the truck and take off. That's the way I like to have everything set up, is that whenever it's time for me to leave the house, the truck is fully ready to go. I don't have to spend 3 or 4 hours, working before I start working a really long shift. I want to be well rested and ready to go when it's time to start working. But one of the other big things that's going to change with this time that I'm going out on the road is I'm going to stop taking taxis. I've thought about it a lot. I don't like the idea of leaving my car out in the elements, especially after one of my buddies just had one of his cars totaled in the last storm, and the other one had $8,000 in hail damage. That's the reason I don't like leaving my car out in the elements in Oklahoma, is because we have severe weather here. Hail damage is huge in Oklahoma. So I ordered a car cover, and I'm going to go ahead and park my car out in the elements and use a car cover. That should help with hail damage. It's felt lined, so it's canvas on the outside and then felt on the inside, and that should give it a little bit of cushion so that small hail should not cause any damage to the car. Now, if there's really big hail, like we have softball size hail sometimes, there's no car cover is going to stop that from breaking a windshield. But as long as we don't have any huge hail, my car should be okay with that car cover. And it'll also help with fading from being out in the sun and stuff like that. But it's a pain in the ass to take cab rides back and forth. And I have to operate on somebody else's schedule. You can't find a cab at all hours of the day. So, like, I want to go out to the truck at like 4 a.m. and I can't be certain I'll be able to find a cab at that time. So what if I was relying on a cab to get over to the truck? What I would probably do is leave Sunday evening at around 7 p.m. or so, and then stay the night in the truck, and then get up and leave at like 4 or 5 a.m. to go do the pickup. That's what I would have to do if I were relying on cabs. So I made the judgment call to go ahead and just start using my personal vehicle to drive back and forth to the drop yard, and leave my personal vehicle out at the drop yard while I'm out on the road. It sucks, but that's what I'm going to start doing, and we'll see if I regret it in a couple of months. We're just about to hit the peak of the middle of May is like the peak of the worst storms in Oklahoma, like tornadoes and stuff like that. And it actually hasn't been that bad this year. It's been a pretty light year. But we'll see. We still have a few weeks left in May. But that's all that I can think of that's going on with me. Everything's good to go. The truck should be fixed, or the APU should be fixed. No more leaks. My internet issue is resolved, hopefully. And I'm really liking the new cellular router I have. It's a 5G router. My old cellular router was it was old. It was made from really old technology. I don't even think it was LTE. I think it was just regular 4G. So the new cellular router is a really modern router. And I'm getting really good speeds with T-Mobile. And I always have this phone as a backup if something happens with the cellular router. This is what I used whenever my internet went out. I have like 50 gigs a month of hotspot data. Actually, I have more than that. I have 50 gigs a month of high-speed priority hotspot data. And then after that, I'll be deprioritized. So I have lots of internet options in the truck, but this device really sucks. These phones have tiny ass antennas in them, and they are absolutely horrible to use as hotspots. That's the reason I use a device like that cellular router, is because it has really nice big Wi-Fi and cellular antennas on it, and it is phenomenal in comparison to this to use as a hotspot. It's almost like having home internet using that thing, and using this thing is like using a phone hotspot. That's what it's like, exactly. So, what else is there I want to say before I end this video? We're right at the 1 hour mark. Let me pause it for a second and think. I can't think of anything else to say. I would show you backhauls. I am looking for backhauls. My next load after this one. But there's really nothing on the load board that far out yet. There's not a lot on the load board in that area, and I'm searching a 300-mile radius around Twin Falls. There's not a lot on the board out there. So whenever I'm looking a week down the line, there's even less. There's only 4 loads showing up. And I've got my search parameters. I've got it up to 45,000 pounds. I've got it down to 250 a mile. I'm not hauling for less than 250 a mile. I'll deadhead to a better market Because at 250 a mile, what am I making on 250 a mile? 2.5 times 0.65. I'm making $1.60 a mile on a 250 a mile load. That's cheap. That's like you can go out of business running that cheap. Which reminds me, this is the last thing that I'll talk about on this video, and it might take 5 minutes for me to say it. There's somebody that I follow on YouTube. Um, I wish him nothing but the best. But he just became an owner operator. Now, this is the second time he's become an owner operator. You'd think he would have learned after his first time. So, right out of training, he trained with Stevens Transport. Right out of training, he became an owner operator. He signed one of those shitty lease contracts with Stevens Transport. And he quit them and went to USA Truck real quick. I don't remember the details of why he explained why he left them so quick, but I'm guessing it was because he wasn't making any money as an owner operator under that shitty contract. Well, what did he just do? He's been a company driver for a couple of years now, and he decided to become an owner operator again. And how did he become an owner operator? He signed another shitty lease contract, paying $1 a mile flat rate. Now, it's one of those sliding pay scales where if the load's only 50 miles, they pay you like $3 a mile or something like that. But if the load is over a certain number of miles, 300 or 400 miles, then it tops out. And you'll bottom out on the scale, and you'll get the lowest rate, which is like $1 a mile plus fuel surcharge. Fuel surcharge is probably somewhere in the ballpark of 30 cents a mile. So you're talking about making $1.30, maybe $1.40 a mile. I don't haul loads that cheap. That is, like, you can't make a living on that kind of money. And that's what these really shitty lease contracts that these mega carriers pay, is like some flat rate $1 a mile bullshit. Do you remember whenever we were having strikes, whenever truckers were shutting down the interstate and they were circling the White House and shit like that? What were the rates paying back then to owner operators? $1 a fucking mile. Why in the hell would you sign a contract that guarantees you're always going to make $1 a mile? That is just fucking stupid. If you're signing that contract, you have no business sense whatsoever. You haven't done any research. You have no idea what you're doing. You really have no business being a business owner. I'm sorry to have such a strong opinion on it, but it's not so much that I'm mad at the people that do that as I'm mad at the companies that take advantage of those people. These are people that just don't know any better. And these shitty companies with these terrible lease contracts take advantage of them. What? Okay, think about this for a second. As a business owner, if I'm going to set up a flat rate contract with guaranteed pay, yet the amount of pay that I'm making on the load is going to fluctuate based on the market, how am I going to determine what flat rate pay to pay somebody? If I pay them too much, then whenever the rates go down, I'm going to lose money and I'm going to go out of business. So what flat rate am I going to give them? I'm going to give them the absolute bottom of what the lowest the rates can get. That way, I'm always making money. If the rates are bad, I'm still making money, just not that much. If the rates are good, I'm making a decent amount of money. And if the rates are great, I'm like robbing these people. I'm just making money hand over fist. Well, the rates are amazing right now. So loads are paying $3, $4, $5, $6 a mile all over the place. So if they're getting $5 a mile on a load and they're only paying you $1 a mile for that load, they're making $4 a mile on that load. They're making a lot of money on your truck. Number one, flat rate lease contracts are huge red flags. I have never, ever seen a flat rate lease contract that was a reasonable contract that you could actually make decent money on. I think Crete pays something like $1.20 a mile plus fuel surcharge. But even then, you're still only making like $1.50 a mile. That still sucks. I'm making $2.69 a mile on this load. I pull loads all the time that pay better than this one. I rarely pull loads that pay less than this one. This load is a good paying load. It's not amazing. It's not great. It's just, it's a solid load. A little above average maybe, but it's not like some unicorn load. Why in the hell would you sign a contract to make $1 a mile? You need to understand, if you're going to become an owner-operator in this industry, you need to have some kind of basic understanding of what the rates are. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at this shit. Go spend $100 to get a spot market load board subscription like that load board. And just sit there and skim through the fucking load board. Put together, a fake week and see what you can do on the spot market to see what the loads pay. Just do some research, something, anything. Don't just sign these contracts arbitrarily, because some of these lease contracts are not completely walk away. They can ruin your credit. They can put you in debt. They can harm your record. If you fuck up with one of these big lease companies, then you may not be able to lease another truck. Because some of these lease companies are pretty big. You may find it difficult to be able to lease again. So don't get into a bad contract with somebody. And there's two different kinds of lease. There's the lease, which is like renting the truck. And then there's the lease contract, which is between you and the carrier. You're running under somebody else's authority. And you sign a contract to use their authority to move loads. That has nothing to do with the truck. But if you sign a bad lease contract with a carrier to run under their authority, that can affect your ability to pay for the truck payment or the lease on the truck. And if you have to give up that truck, that may have been your one opportunity to become an owner operator. You may not get another chance. Anyway, enough ranting. I'm really upset. Whenever I watched that video and saw, and he went into detail about the pay scale in that video, and whenever he was going into detail about that pay scale, I was just getting madder and madder every minute that I watched that video. And these really shitty lease contracts piss me off. They give owner operators a bad reputation. They give leases a bad reputation. There's still a stigma in this industry about leasing. There is absolutely nothing wrong with leasing. Leasing, for many people, is better than getting your own authority. A lot of people lease to companies like Landstar or USA Truck are making more money than people that have their own fucking authority. It's not a bad thing to lease to a good company or to sign a good lease contract. But it has a stigma. It has a negative reputation because of these shitty companies like CR England and Swift and CRST and Stevens Transport. All these really terrible places with these terrible lease contracts. I think Prime Incorporated is a step above those places, and they actually have the bottom level lease contract. Now, the lease contract with Prime is not too terribly bad. What makes it bad to lease to Prime is they have absurdly high requirements on your equipment. So you're going to have massive amounts of expenses in equipment. And, your fixed costs. Your fixed costs are going to be really, really high with Prime because in their lease contract, they require that you have a truck that's 3 model years or newer, and the truck can never be older than 5 model years old. So whenever you initially lease on, it has to be 3 model years. It has to be a brand new truck. And then if it ever gets over 5 years old, you have to get a new truck. That's one of the reasons it's a bad lease, because you have insanely high expenses because you're running in brand new equipment. Another reason it's a bad lease is because Prime has cheap freight. Like, they haul cheap fucking freight, man. Yeah, you're getting like 70% of the load, but I would rather get 70% of a $10,000 load than 70% of a $5,000 load. Or 65% of a 10,000 load rather than 70% of a $5,000 load. So their percentage is like, you need to look into everything on leasing with a company. You need to know what their average price of freight is. You need to know what's normal with them, because if somebody tells you that you're going to get 90%, 90% of nothing is still fucking nothing. Like 65%. Landstar takes a huge cut on these loads, but these are some premium paying loads. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in here that makes it really good. Like the broker. The broker gets a flat 7% off the load that comes off the total amount. It doesn't come out of my 65%. It comes out of the 100% of the load. So out of the total load, you know, a $10,000 load, I'm getting 6,500 of it. The broker's getting 700 of it, and then Landstar's getting the rest. Whereas that exact same $10,000 load going through some other shithole company, there may be a broker skimming off the top, taking an unknown amount of broker cut. They usually won't disclose that to you, how much they're going to pay their brokers. So the broker could be taking, I don't know, 30, 40% off there. Like the average broker cut is around 15%. And some brokers take a lot more than that. They'll take as much as they can. Like that's what brokers do. So, I mean, yeah, you may be getting 70, 80, 90%, but what are you getting 70, 80, 90% of? There's a lot that goes in to this business. So, there's a lot to learn. I wish everybody the best. And, you know, the only reason I really mention it is because I just feel like people are getting taken advantage of, and it pisses me off whenever somebody takes advantage of somebody else. Especially somebody that's out there busting their fucking ass, trying to make a living and trying to better themselves and trying to provide for their family. And to have these damn mega carriers taking advantage of these people. You know, you have these people that run these mega carriers. Most of them have never even driven a truck. They're office people. They're so far, you know, distant from the driver that they don't know what in the hell is going on. They're just robbing these people, stealing from these drivers. I mean, just, I hate that. I wish everybody in the industry would get educated on what's normal and what's possible and when they're getting taken advantage of, and we could stop working for these shitty mega carriers, and people could go and move to all these places that actually pay a good wage and that are good places to work. You don't have to have 20 years of experience to get a good job in trucking. Yeah, unfortunately, right now, you're almost forced to work for mega carriers for your first year. But there are a few diamonds in the rough of first-year companies that you can work for that are decent. Not great, but decent. Prime is a decent first-year company. USA Truck's a decent first-year company. I think TMC is probably a decent first-year company if you're willing to, you know, do flatbed, which can be a lot of work, a lot of manual labor. Those are just a few of the companies. Now, most of them are really selective. The few decent first-year companies that there are, Prime is incredibly selective. TMC is incredibly selective. USA Truck isn't too bad on how selective they are. They're not super selective. But yeah, get that first year and then get the hell away from those shitty companies. Anyway, enough ranting. I've got a whole bunch of crap to do to get ready to leave on Monday. And I wish everybody the best out there. Good luck to you. And I'll be joining you back out on the road here pretty soon. And start making a lot more videos when I'm out on the road. So have a good one. See you later. Bye.